Picture this: the first light of dawn creeping over the horizon, casting long shadows across the sands of Giza. The Great Pyramid stands silent and immense, its limestone casing stones once gleaming like a second sun. For thousands of years, it has defied time, weather, and even our understanding. We've been taught these were tombs for pharaohs, grand resting places for the divine rulers of ancient Egypt. But what if that's only part of the story? What if these colossal structures held secrets far beyond burial chambers and treasures? Across centuries, historians and archaeologists have debated the true purpose of the pyramids. The traditional explanation feels almost too simple when you stand before their precision, their alignment with the stars, their sheer scale. How could a civilization without modern technology achieve such perfection? And why would they pour so much effort into mere tombs? The questions pile up, whispering of something deeper, something hidden in plain sight. Could the pyramids have been designed as something else entirely? Perhaps as celestial observatories, energy amplifiers, or even gateways to knowledge lost to time. This is where the mystery pulls us in. Today, we're diving into the theories that challenge everything we thought we knew. From their uncanny alignment with Orion's belt to the strange acoustic properties inside their chambers, the pyramids seem to hum with unanswered questions. Were they built to harness cosmic energy, to communicate with the gods, or to preserve wisdom we've yet to rediscover? Join us as we peel back the layers of history, examining the evidence, the myths, and the tantalizing clues that suggest the pyramids were far more than royal graves. The truth might be stranger than we ever imagined, and it's waiting just beneath the surface. The idea that pyramids were built as tombs for pharaohs is deeply rooted in our understanding of ancient Egypt. After all, we've found burial chambers deep inside these structures, empty stone coffins known as sarcophagi, walls covered in hieroglyphs detailing spells for the afterlife, and even remnants of funerary goods meant to accompany rulers into eternity. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the most famous of them all, has long been tied to the pharaoh's burial, with texts from the period referencing its role in his journey to the gods. It makes logical sense. Why else would such monumental effort be spent on a structure, unless it was meant to honor and protect a divine king in death? But here's where things get interesting. If the pyramids were purely tombs, why do so many of them lack actual mummies? The sarcophagus in Khufu's pyramid was found empty, with no trace of the pharaoh's remains. And while some pyramids, like those at Saqqara, contained burial chambers, others seem oddly devoid of any clear funerary purpose. Even the hieroglyphs inside tell a more complex story. Some inscriptions reference celestial events or mathematical concepts rather than just burial rites. Could it be that these chambers were symbolic rather than literal, that the pyramids served a dual function, blending the sacred rituals of death with something far more profound? Take the pyramid texts, some of the oldest religious writings in the world. While they do describe the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife, they're also filled with astronomical references, aligning the deceased with stars like Sirius and Orion. The pyramids themselves mirror these constellations in their precise layout across the Giza plateau. Why go to such lengths if they were merely tombs? And then there's the matter of their construction, the near-perfect alignment with true north, the advanced engineering that still baffles experts today. These aren't just oversized graves, they're feats of science, architecture, and maybe even something we haven't fully grasped. So while the tomb theory isn't wrong, it might be incomplete. What if the burial chambers were just one layer of a grander design? A design that intertwined death, the cosmos, and the very fabric of the ancient world's understanding of reality. The evidence we have raises more questions than answers, and that's what makes this mystery so endlessly compelling. Standing beneath the shadow of the Great Pyramid, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its precision. The sides of this ancient marvel don't just roughly face north, they align with true north with an accuracy that would impress modern engineers. The margin of error is a mere fraction of a degree, a feat that seems almost impossible for a civilization working over 4,000 years ago without compasses or satellites. But why would the builders care so deeply about celestial alignment if this was just a tomb? The answer might lie in the stars themselves. Look up at the night sky in Giza, and you'll notice something extraordinary. The three pyramids mirror the three stars of Orion's belt, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, with a precision that can't be dismissed as coincidence. This is the heart of the Orion Correlation Theory, which suggests the pyramids were deliberately placed to reflect the cosmos. Even the Nile River seems to mirror the Milky Way in this grand celestial map. The ancient Egyptians revered Orion as the home of Osiris, the god of rebirth and the afterlife. If the pyramids were meant to guide pharaohs to the stars, their alignment would be more than symbolic. It would be a functional roadmap to eternity. But the celestial connections don't stop there. The Great Pyramid's air shafts, once thought to be mere ventilation channels, point directly to key stars like Sirius and Alpha Draconis at specific times of the year. Sirius, associated with the goddess Isis, rose just before the annual flooding of the Nile, a critical event for agriculture. Could these shafts have served as astronomical sightlines, helping priests predict the flood or mark solstices? Some researchers believe the pyramid's layout even encodes the length of the solar year with startling accuracy. Then there's the so-called stellar clock theory. As the night sky shifts over millennia due to Earth's wobble, the positions of stars change. But the pyramids, fixed in stone, preserve a snapshot of the heavens as they appeared in 2500 BC. Were they built as a permanent record of the sky, a way to anchor cosmic knowledge across generations? The precision of their design suggests a deep understanding of astronomy, one that challenges our assumptions about ancient technology. So when we ask whether the pyramids were tombs, observatories, or something else entirely, perhaps the answer is all of the above. In a world where science, religion, and myth were intertwined, these structures might have served multiple purposes, guiding the dead, mapping the heavens, and encoding knowledge we're still deciphering today. The more we study their alignments, the more we realize the pyramids weren't just built for Earth. They were speaking to the stars. Now let's talk numbers, because the pyramids don't just impress with their size or alignment. They whisper secrets in the language of mathematics, encoded into every angle and dimension. Take the Great Pyramid's base, divide its perimeter by twice its height, and you get a figure startlingly close to pi, 3.1416. That's no accident. The ancient Egyptians, often credited with a simpler understanding of math, seem to have embedded this irrational number into stone millennia before it was formally calculated. But how, and more importantly, why? Then there's the golden ratio, 1.618, the so-called divine proportion found in nature's spirals, flower petals, and even human anatomy. The pyramid's height to base ratio mirrors this sacred geometry, a harmony so precise it feels intentional. Some researchers argue these ratios weren't just aesthetic choices. They might have held spiritual or scientific meaning, reflecting a belief that certain shapes and numbers held cosmic power. Imagine standing before the pyramid, running your hand along its stones, and realizing you're touching a mathematical equation meant to bridge Earth and the heavens. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. The pyramid's inner chambers and passageways follow dimensions that correspond to astronomical cycles. The King's Chamber, for instance, encodes the length of the Earth's precession, the 26,000-year wobble of our planet's axis. How could a civilization without telescopes grasp such a complex celestial pattern? Some theorists suggest the pyramids weren't just tombs or monuments, but repositories of advanced knowledge, a stone-coded library preserving wisdom we're only now beginning to decipher. Consider the work of ancient scholars like Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, often depicted recording sacred measurements. Could the pyramids be his textbooks, their walls etched with lessons in math, astronomy, and physics? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Ancient cultures worldwide embedded knowledge into myth and architecture, passing it down through generations. The pyramids, with their flawless geometry and celestial echoes, might be the ultimate example, a silent lecture hall where the walls themselves teach. So when we ask if these structures were tombs, the answer might lie in the numbers. They're not just resting places for pharaohs, they're equations in limestone, cosmic blueprints, and perhaps even the ancient world's way of shouting across time, "We knew more than you think." And the real question isn't whether they hid this knowledge deliberately, it's whether we're finally ready to listen. Could the pyramids have been more than just monuments or tombs? Could they have been ancient power plants? This radical idea has gained traction in recent years, fueled by strange discoveries inside the pyramids themselves. Scientists measuring electromagnetic activity within the Great Pyramid's chambers have recorded unusual energy hotspots, particularly in the King's Chamber. The granite walls there, rich in quartz crystals, seem to vibrate at specific frequencies, almost as if the entire structure was designed to amplify and channel energy. Quartz, as we know today, has piezoelectric properties, meaning it generates electricity under pressure. When you consider the tons of stone pressing down on these chambers, it's not hard to imagine how subtle vibrations from the Earth or even sound waves could have created measurable energy. Then there's the pyramid's shape itself, a geometric form that appears to focus energy. Modern experiments with scale models show that pyramid structures can concentrate electromagnetic waves in their inner chambers and even at their bases. Russian researchers in the 1970s reported that small pyramids placed over food seemed to slow decay, while blades left inside allegedly stayed sharper longer. Though these claims are controversial, they raise an intriguing question. Did the pyramid's design interact with unseen forces in ways we're only beginning to understand? Some theorists suggest the chambers acted as resonance cavities, tuning into the Earth's natural frequencies like a colossal acoustic instrument. Even more speculative are the ideas linking pyramids to cosmic energy. The Great Pyramid's capstone, now missing, was said to be made of gold or electrum, a conductor of electricity. Could it have functioned as an antenna, drawing energy from the atmosphere? Ancient texts describe the pyramid's apex as the place where the gods touch the earth, hinting at something beyond mere symbolism. And let's not forget the mysterious absence of soot or torch marks inside the chambers. How did the builders illuminate their work without leaving traces? Could they have harnessed some form of energy we've yet to replicate? The most tantalizing thought of all is this: if the pyramids were energy devices, their purpose might have been lost over millennia. Perhaps the priests of ancient Egypt weren't just spiritual leaders but custodians of forgotten technology. The precision of their construction, the materials they chose, the way they aligned with natural forces, it all points to a sophistication we're still unraveling. So when we ask whether these structures were tombs or something more, maybe we're not seeing the full picture. Maybe the pyramids were both monuments to the dead and machines for the living, blurring the line between myth and science in ways we're only starting to explore. Now let's zoom way out from the pyramids themselves and consider their place on the planet. If you were to draw a line dividing Earth's landmasses into equal quarters, the Great Pyramid would sit almost perfectly at the center. This isn't just a curious coincidence. Some researchers argue the pyramid's precise latitude, 29.9792 degrees north, aligns with the speed of light measured in meters per second. That exact number, 299,792, appears encoded in the pyramid's coordinates. Whether intentional or not, the placement feels too precise to ignore. But the geographic mysteries don't stop there. The pyramids align with key meridians and parallels in ways that suggest a deeper understanding of Earth's geometry. The Great Pyramid's north-south axis runs along the longest land meridian, while its east-west axis follows the longest land parallel lines that intersect more of Earth's continents than any other orientation. Could this have been a deliberate choice, turning the pyramid into a geodetic marker? Ancient cultures from the Maya to the Chinese built structures aligned with cardinal directions, but the pyramids take this precision to another level. Then there's the theory of ley lines, hypothetical energy pathways crisscrossing the globe, connecting sacred sites like Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, and the pyramids. While mainstream science dismisses ley lines as pseudoscience, it's striking how many ancient monuments cluster along these invisible alignments. The Great Pyramid sits at the intersection of several proposed ley lines, hinting at a possible network of spiritually or energetically significant locations. Were the pyramids waypoints in a vast, ancient system we've forgotten? Even more compelling is the pyramid's relationship to other landmarks. The distance from the Great Pyramid to the North Pole is roughly the same as its distance to the center of Earth's landmass, a symmetry that feels mathematically intentional. Some theorists propose the pyramids were part of a global positioning system, a Stone Age GPS guiding travelers, or even aligning with celestial events across continents. Imagine standing atop the pyramid, the world stretching beneath you, and realizing you're at the heart of a design far grander than any single civilization. So when we ask whether the pyramids were tombs, observatories, or power plants, we might be missing the bigger picture. They could have been all these things and more. A compass, a map, a beacon, a message carved not just in stone but in the very coordinates of the planet itself. The deeper we look, the more the pyramids seem to whisper, "You're standing on something ancient, something vast, something waiting to be remembered." What if the pyramids weren't just silent tombs or cosmic observatories? What if they moved? One of the most provocative theories suggests these ancient structures functioned as massive water pumps, harnessing the Nile's power to channel liquid through their very core. At first glance, it sounds like science fiction, but when you examine the internal architecture, the idea starts to hold water, literally. Take the so-called air shafts inside the Great Pyramid. These narrow passageways, long assumed to be ventilation channels or symbolic pathways for the pharaoh's soul, have dimensions and angles that align eerily with principles of fluid dynamics. Engineers who have studied them point out their smooth, polished surfaces perfect for reducing friction, and their precise inclines, which match the slope needed to lift water using gravity and pressure. Some researchers argue these shafts weren't meant for air at all, but for liquid, possibly circulating through the pyramid like blood through veins. Then there's the subterranean chamber, a mysterious space carved deep into the bedrock beneath the pyramid. Unlike the polished rooms above, this chamber is rough-hewn, with a pit that descends even further into the earth. Could this have been part of an intake system, drawing water from underground aquifers or the nearby Nile? Ancient texts describe the pyramid as Akhit Khufu, or Horizon of Khufu, but the word Akhit also refers to the Nile's annual flood. Was the structure designed to interact with these waters, transforming the pyramid into a hydraulic engine. The theory gains traction when you consider the work of modern engineers like Christopher Dunn, who have studied the pyramid's acoustics and geometry. Dunn proposes that the chambers acted as resonance cavities, vibrating at specific frequencies to create a pumping effect. The granite inside, rich in quartz, could have amplified these vibrations, turning the entire pyramid into a colossal piezoelectric device. Imagine the Nile's seasonal floods filling the lower chambers, while sound waves, perhaps generated by chanting priests or even the flow itself, triggered a cascade of energy, pushing water upward through the shafts. It's a wild idea, but not impossible in a civilization that mastered astronomy, mathematics, and engineering with uncanny precision. But why would the ancients need such a system? The answer might lie in the desert itself. Egypt's survival depended on controlling water, diverting the Nile's floods to irrigate crops, filling canals, and storing reserves for drought. If the pyramids were part of a vast hydraulic network, they could have been the ultimate water management tool, lifting and distributing liquid across the plateau. Some even speculate that the pyramid's limestone casing, now mostly gone, once acted as a waterproof seal, directing moisture into hidden channels. Of course, skeptics dismiss the water pump hypothesis as fringe science. They argue that no physical evidence of plumbing pipes, valves, or residue has been found inside the pyramids. But here's the twist: absence of proof isn't proof of absence. The pyramids have been looted, weathered, and altered for millennia. Any delicate hydraulic components, if they existed, could have been stripped away or crumbled to dust. And let's not forget the ancient Egyptians' obsession with secrecy. Their most advanced technology might have been deliberately hidden, reserved for initiates, or lost to time. So when we ask whether the pyramids were tombs, power plants, or water pumps, maybe the answer isn't either or. Ancient cultures didn't compartmentalize knowledge the way we do. A structure could be sacred and scientific, a gateway to the afterlife, and a machine for the living. The water pump theory reminds us that the pyramid's true purpose might be as fluid as the Nile itself, shifting with the tides of discovery, waiting for us to decode their deepest secrets. And if even a fraction of this theory holds water, it rewrites not just history, but our understanding of what ancient civilizations were truly capable of. Step inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, and you'll notice something strange. The way sound behaves here defies ordinary physics. Whisper a word near one of the granite walls, and your voice doesn't just echo. It lingers, reverberating with an almost musical quality, as if the stones themselves are singing back to you. Scientists measuring these acoustics have recorded something extraordinary. The chamber resonates at a frequency of 432 Hz, a tone often called the natural tuning fork of the universe. This same frequency appears in ancient Sanskrit chants, Gregorian hymns, and even the vibrations of Earth's own electromagnetic field. Coincidence, or was this space designed to amplify a specific harmonic? The deeper you go into the pyramid's acoustic mysteries, the more the evidence stacks up. In the so-called subterranean chamber, sound waves bounce in ways that create standing waves patterns where certain frequencies grow louder while others cancel out. Experiments with modern instruments show that striking a drum or chanting inside these spaces produces overtones that seem to harmonize with the structure itself. Some researchers believe the pyramid's builders intentionally shaped these chambers to function like giant resonators, turning the entire monument into a colossal musical instrument. But why? One compelling theory ties these acoustic properties to ancient rituals of sound healing. Across cultures, from Tibetan singing bowls to Aboriginal didgeridoos, Sound has been used to alter consciousness, induce trances, or even promote physical healing. The Egyptians revered the power of the spoken word. Their creation myths describe the god Ptah bringing the world into existence through sound. Could the pyramids have been sacred sound chambers where priests used vibrations to commune with the divine or awaken higher states of awareness? The idea gains weight when you consider the pyramid's quartz-rich granite, a mineral known to amplify and store vibrational energy. Modern experiments add fuel to the fire. In 2023, a team of physicists projected ultrasonic waves through a scale model of the Great Pyramid and discovered something startling. The structure concentrated electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers and beneath its base. When combined with the acoustic findings, it paints a picture of a building designed to harness and focus energy, both audible and unseen. Imagine standing in the king's chamber during a ritual, the air throbbing with chants at precisely 432 Hz, the walls vibrating in sync, the very stones humming with a power just beyond human perception. The most tantalizing question isn't whether the pyramids could manipulate sound, it's why they would. Were these effects accidental byproducts of precise engineering, or deliberate features of a technology we've yet to fully understand? From the harmonic echoes in their chambers to the eerie silence of their passageways, the pyramids seem engineered not just for the dead, but for the living, for those who knew how to listen. And if sound was the key, then perhaps the real purpose of these ancient wonders wasn't just to house pharaohs, but to awaken something far older, the hidden power of vibration itself. From the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Mesoamerica, the pyramid shape appears again and again across ancient civilizations separated by oceans and millennia. This isn't just coincidence, it's a clue to something deeper. The pyramid's form, with its broad base narrowing to a single apex, mirrors humanity's oldest spiritual metaphor, the journey from earthly existence to divine enlightenment. In sacred texts worldwide, this ascent is described as climbing a mountain, scaling a ladder, or most tellingly ascending a stepped pyramid toward the heavens. The structure itself becomes a map of transformation, each level representing a stage of initiation into higher wisdom. Consider the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, where priests performed rituals under the stars, or the stepped ziggurats of Mesopotamia, said to bridge earth and sky. Even Buddhist stupas, though rounded, follow the same symbolic logic, their spires pointing upward like the pyramid's missing capstones. What's striking isn't just the shared shape, but the shared purpose. These weren't passive monuments, they were active sites of revelation where seekers underwent trials to awaken hidden knowledge. The Egyptian Book of the Dead describes the deceased pharaoh climbing a celestial pyramid to join the gods. But was this metaphor also a lived experience for the living? Modern initiates in esoteric traditions still speak of the pyramid as a gateway. Freemasons incorporate pyramid imagery in their lodges as symbols of moral and intellectual progression. Mystics describe meditating within pyramid models to amplify spiritual energy. Even the Great Seal of the United States features an unfinished pyramid, a nod to humanity's perpetual climb toward enlightenment. The pattern is undeniable. Across time and culture, the pyramid represents transcendence. So when we find empty sarcophagi in these structures, perhaps we've been asking the wrong question. Instead of "where are the bodies?" we should ask, "what happened here?" Ancient texts hint at rituals where candidates entered the pyramid's labyrinthine passages blindfolded, emerging days later, reborn with secret knowledge. The pyramid's acoustics, alignments, and geometry all suggest spaces designed to alter consciousness, whether through sound, light, or sacred geometry. Maybe the real treasure wasn't gold or mummies, but an experience, an initiation so profound it had to be encoded in stone, waiting for those who could read the symbols. The pyramids stand as silent teachers, their shape a universal language. They tell us the journey matters as much as the destination, that wisdom isn't given, but earned step by step toward the light. And if that's true, then their greatest secret might be this: they were never meant to house the dead. They were built to awaken the living. The precision of the pyramid's construction isn't just impressive, it's borderline inexplicable. Take the granite sarcophagus in the king's chamber, carved from a single block of stone with corners so sharp, so perfectly squared, that modern engineers struggle to replicate them without diamond-tipped tools. The tolerances are measured in millimeters across distances of meters, a level of accuracy that seems impossible for copper chisels and primitive saws. This isn't just craftsmanship, it's something closer to artistry, bordering on the supernatural. And it's not alone. The basalt floors in certain chambers show drill marks with spiraling grooves so uniform, they suggest machinery operating at speeds and pressures unmatched until the industrial age. How? That's the question haunting researchers who dare to dig deeper. Alternative historians point to these anomalies as evidence of lost technology. The mainstream explanation, ramps, ropes, and sheer manpower, doesn't fully account for the microscopic precision or the scale of lifting blocks weighing up to 80 tons. Some propose the ancients wielded tools we've yet to rediscover, like sonic drills or geopolymer concrete poured into molds. The work of French chemist Joseph Davidovits, for instance, suggests limestone blocks could have been cast on site like ancient cement, explaining their seamless joints. But even this theory doesn't resolve the harder stones, like granite, which show machining marks consistent with advanced cutting techniques. Then there are the wilder theories, the ones that venture into extraterrestrial or Atlantean territory. Ancient astronaut theorists highlight the sudden leap in Egyptian engineering, as if pyramid-building knowledge appeared overnight. They point to the Edfu texts, which speak of the gods who designed sacred blueprints, or the mysterious inventory stela, claiming the Great Pyramid existed before Khufu's reign. Could these be garbled memories of an older, advanced civilization? Plato's account of Atlantis, a sophisticated island nation swallowed by the sea, fuels speculation that pyramid builders were heirs to a forgotten science. The similarities between pyramids worldwide, from Giza to Chichen, it's a hint at a shared, possibly global, lost knowledge. But here's the most humbling thought. What if the truth isn't aliens or magic, but a human ingenuity we've underestimated? Recent experiments show that sound waves can levitate small objects. Ancient cultures from Tibet to Peru used resonant frequencies in construction rituals. Could the pyramid builders have harnessed vibration to move massive stones, or mastered a form of energy manipulation now lost to time? The gap between impossible and unexplained is where the real mystery lies. The pyramids force us to confront an uncomfortable possibility, that history isn't a straight line of progress, that civilizations rise, fall, and forget. That the fingerprints on these stones might belong not to gods or aliens, but to people who knew the earth and the cosmos in ways we're only beginning to glimpse. And if that's true, then the greatest secret of the pyramids isn't how they were built. It's what their builders understood that we've yet to relearn. The pyramids of Giza don't exist in isolation, they're part of a much larger puzzle, one that stretches across continents and centuries. When you map their coordinates alongside other ancient marvels like Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, or Angkor Wat, an eerie pattern emerges. These sites don't just share monumental scale, they're linked by precise alignments to solstices, equinoxes, and celestial events. The Great Pyramid's placement at the geographic center of Earth's landmass is mirrored by other sacred sites positioned along key meridians, as if ancient builders were following an invisible grid. Could this be coincidence or evidence of a shared global blueprint lost to time? Take Stonehenge, for instance. Like the pyramids, its towering stones align perfectly with the summer solstice sunrise. But here's where it gets fascinating. The distance between Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid forms an almost perfect triangle with the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mexico. The angles between these sites match sacred geometric ratios found in nature, from flower petals to spiral galaxies. Even more striking, all three locations feature structures built with astronomical precision, yet their cultures supposedly never made contact. How could civilizations separated by oceans and eras arrive at such similar designs? Then there's Machu Picchu, perched high in the Andes. The Incan citadel's terraces and temples mirror the pyramid's stepped profiles, while its Intihuatana stone, a ritual sundial, aligns with the sun's path just like the pyramid's shaft. Both sites also sit along what modern researchers call the golden ratio latitude, a band circling Earth where numerous sacred monuments cluster. The Nazca Lines, Easter Island's Moe, even the temples of Luxor, all fall along this invisible line. Were these locations chosen for their energetic properties, their celestial sightlines, or some deeper purpose we've yet to decipher? Theories abound. Some researchers propose these sites were nodes in a prehistoric energy grid, harnessing Earth's natural ley lines like a planetary circuit board. Others suggest they were waypoints for an ancient global civilization, perhaps the mythical Atlantis, that mapped the world long before recorded history. The most compelling evidence lies in the construction itself, from the polygonal masonry of Cusco to the interlocking stones of Baalbek. Builders across the world used techniques so advanced, modern engineers still debate their methods. The similarities are too precise to dismiss as parallel evolution, but here's the twist. If these cultures shared knowledge, how did it spread? Mainstream archaeology points to independent innovation, yet fringe researchers highlight cryptic clues. The Dogon people of Mali, for example, knew of Sirius's invisible companion star centuries before telescopes. Indigenous Australian legends describe geological features only visible from space. And then there's the universal symbol of the serpent, representing wisdom and renewal from Egypt to the Americas. These threads weave a tapestry too intricate to ignore, one that suggests ancient humanity might have been far more connected or far more guided than we've been taught. So when we stand before the pyramids, we're not just looking at tombs or temples, we're glimpsing fragments of a lost world, one where sacred geometry, celestial knowledge, and Earth's hidden energies were understood in ways we're still piecing together. The stones themselves seem to whisper, "You're standing on the edges of a map." The question isn't whether it exists, it's whether you're ready to see it. The pyramids weren't just monuments of stone, they were stages for the sacred, designed to host rituals that blurred the line between Earth and the cosmos. Step inside the dimly lit chambers, and you can almost hear the echoes of chanting priests, the scent of burning incense hanging thick in the air. Every corridor, every shaft, every precisely angled wall seems orchestrated to elevate worship into something transcendent. The Grand Gallery, with its towering ceiling and stepped ramps, wasn't just an architectural marvel, it was a processional pathway, a physical representation of the soul's ascent to the stars. Imagine initiates moving upward in torchlit ceremony, each step mirroring the journey of the pharaoh's spirit through the Juwat, the Egyptian underworld, toward rebirth among the gods. Sacred geometry pulses through the pyramid's very bones. The golden ratio, encoded in their proportions, wasn't just mathematical elegance, it was divine language. Ancient texts describe the universe as a tapestry of harmonic patterns, and the pyramids embodied this belief. Their chambers align with celestial events like the winter solstice sunrise, when sunlight would pierce the inner sanctum, illuminating hieroglyphs meant to guide the dead. But what if these alignments weren't just symbolic? Some researchers suggest the pyramids functioned as colossal ritual instruments, their geometry amplifying prayers or channeling energy. The precision of their angles might have focused cosmic forces, turning ceremonies into moments of tangible connection with the unseen. Then there's the mystery of the missing capstones. Ancient accounts describe them as gleaming electrum, a mix of gold and silver catching the first and last light of day. Were these apex stones more than decorative? In temple traditions worldwide, the highest point is where heaven and earth touch. The capstone's reflective surface could have acted as a beacon, signaling the gods or even capturing celestial energy. Rituals performed beneath it might have been timed to planetary alignments, merging astronomy with devotion in ways we're only starting to decipher. The most haunting question lingers: were these structures designed to induce mystical experiences? The combination of resonant frequencies, flickering torchlight, and precise alignments could have altered consciousness, allowing priests to step beyond the mortal veil. Modern visitors report strange sensations in the king's chamber, a tingling on the skin, a pressure in the air, as if the stones remember their ancient purpose. Perhaps the pyramids weren't just bridges between mortal and divine. Perhaps they were doorways, ones that swung both ways. Buried beneath the weight of millennia, the pyramids may hold more than just the echoes of ancient rituals. They could be time capsules, deliberately packed with knowledge meant to outlast civilizations. The idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Ancient cultures obsessed with cycles of time, from the Mayans to the Egyptians, often encoded warnings or wisdom in their monuments, as if anticipating a future when their world would crumble but their message might endure. The Great Pyramid's very design hints at this purpose. Its hidden chambers, like the recently discovered voids above the Grand Gallery, remain unexplored, their contents, or lack thereof, shrouded in mystery. Were these spaces left empty by looters, or were they always voids, waiting to be filled with understanding we've yet to uncover? Consider the pyramid's mathematical and astronomical precision. The dimensions of its passages encode the Earth's circumference, the speed of light, and the precession of the equinoxes, numbers a Bronze Age society shouldn't have known. Could these have been deliberately embedded as a benchmark, a way to say, we knew this, and now you do too? Even the materials tell a story. The pyramid's casing stones, once polished to a mirror finish, weren't just for show. Reflective surfaces in sacred sites worldwide symbolize enlightenment, the literal shining of truth across ages. Perhaps the pyramid's glittering facade was less about impressing contemporaries and more about signaling to the future, look closer. There's more here than you see. Then there are the prophecies. The Emerald Tablet, attributed to the mythical Hermes Trismegistus, claims the pyramid's guard, the secrets of the universe, accessible only when humanity reaches a certain spiritual or intellectual maturity. Edgar Cayce, the so-called sleeping prophet, spoke of a hall of records hidden beneath the Sphinx's paws, containing scrolls from Atlantis. Even mainstream Egyptology acknowledges the inventory stela, which suggests the Great Pyramid existed long before Khufu, its true builders lost to time. These threads weave a tantalizing narrative. The pyramids weren't just for the dead. They were libraries, their shelves made of stone, their books written in geometry and starlight. Modern technology is peeling back the layers. Ground-penetrating radar and muon tomography have revealed anomalies, hidden corridors, chambers, even metallic objects deep within the structure. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project detected a void the size of a passenger plane above the Grand Gallery, still unexplored. What lies inside? Empty space, artifacts, or something far stranger, like crystalline resonators or encoded maps of forgotten lands. The most compelling clue might be the pyramid's resilience. Built to withstand earthquakes, floods, and millennia of human interference, it feels less like a tomb and more like a vault, engineered to protect its contents until the right moment. So when we ask whether the pyramid's true purpose is still hidden, we're not just chasing conspiracy. We're grappling with the possibility that their builders thought in scales we're only beginning to comprehend, not just years or centuries, but epochs. The stones seem to whisper, "You're not late, you're right on time." And if that's true, then the greatest secret of the pyramids isn't what they were. It's what they're waiting to become. Imagine standing inside the Great Pyramid on a scorching Egyptian afternoon, yet feeling an unexpected coolness in the air, almost as if the stones themselves were breathing. This strange phenomenon has fueled one of the most intriguing theories about the pyramids, that they weren't just tombs or temples, but massive climate regulators, engineered to manipulate their surroundings. The math is startling. The pyramid's sheer mass, 2.3 million blocks weighing 6 million tons, could have acted as a thermal battery, absorbing heat by day and releasing it slowly at night, creating a microclimate around the structure. But could this have been deliberate? Ancient texts describe the pyramids as cool chambers of the gods, places where priests performed rituals unaffected by the desert's extremes. The precision of their ventilation shafts, angled to channel breezes while filtering dust, suggests a design as much about comfort as cosmology. Now consider their shape, a form so aerodynamic it deflects wind rather than resisting it. Sandstorms that bury other structures seem to flow around the pyramids, leaving their bases remarkably clear. Some researchers argue this wasn't accidental. The pyramid's geometry may have been calculated to disrupt wind patterns, preventing erosion or even redirecting rainfall. In a civilization dependent on the Nile's floods, controlling microclimates could mean survival. The Step Pyramid at Saqqara, for instance, sits atop a network of underground channels that some believe acted as a primitive air conditioning system, circulating cool groundwater through the structure. But the most provocative idea links the pyramids to seismic stability. Their wide bases and tapered tops mirror modern earthquake-resistant architecture, dispersing energy rather than concentrating it. When tremors strike the Giza Plateau, the pyramids sway slightly but don't collapse. Coincidence? Or were they designed as bulwarks against disasters? Ancient records speak of a time when the earth roared and the sky burned, hinting at catastrophic events that might have inspired such safeguards. The pyramid's alignment along geological fault lines adds weight to the theory. Were they anchors stabilizing the land beneath them? Then there's the wildest notion of all, that the pyramids could influence weather. The electromagnetic anomalies detected around their peaks resemble those found near active volcanoes, where charged particles interact with the atmosphere. Could the pyramid's missing capstones, possibly made of conductive metals, have acted like lightning rods, channeling atmospheric energy? Some fringe researchers point to legends of priests calling down rain from the pyramid's summit, or texts describing storms held at bay by its presence. Even mainstream science acknowledges that large stone structures can create localized pressure changes, potentially affecting cloud formation. So when we ask whether the pyramids were shields against catastrophe, we're not just spinning fables. We're confronting the possibility that their builders saw further than we've credited, not just upward to the stars, but outward to the forces that shape our world. In an era of rising seas and raging storms, the idea of ancient architects taming nature doesn't seem so far-fetched. Maybe the pyramids weren't just monuments to the dead. Maybe they were blueprints for living and surviving on a planet that's anything but predictable. Stories of pyramids influencing life itself stretch far beyond ancient texts. Modern experiments suggest these structures might interact with biology in ways we're only beginning to understand. Take the curious case of seeds placed inside small-scale pyramid models. Researchers have documented faster germination rates, stronger root growth, and even increased yields compared to control groups outside the structures. One study in Russia showed wheat seeds sprouting days earlier when housed beneath a pyramid-shaped frame, their roots noticeably thicker and more robust. Similar experiments with basil, lettuce, and beans echoed these results, as if the pyramid's geometry somehow amplified the plant's vitality. But how? The leading theory points to subtle energy fields. Perhaps the pyramid's shape concentrates or channels natural forces that stimulate cellular activity, though mainstream science remains skeptical without definitive proof. Then there are the human accounts, equally puzzling. Visitors to the Great Pyramid's King's Chamber often report unusual physical sensations: tingling skin, a sudden clarity of mind, or an overwhelming sense of calm. Meditators claim deeper, almost trance-like states inside these spaces, as if the stones themselves lower mental barriers. Some alternative healers even use miniature pyramids in therapy sessions, insisting the structures reduce pain or accelerate recovery. While these anecdotes lack clinical validation, they align with ancient Egyptian texts describing the pyramids as houses of energy where the sick could be restored. Could the architects have designed chambers that interacted with the human body's electromagnetic field? The granite's high quartz content, known to hold and amplify energy, adds weight to the idea. The most provocative theory suggests pyramids act as cosmic antennas, tuning into frequencies that affect living organisms. Biophysicists note that the resonant frequency of the King's Chamber, 432 Hz, matches the vibrational frequency found in healthy human DNA. Coincidence or intentional design? Ancient cultures worldwide built sacred spaces with specific acoustics, from Himalayan singing bowls to Grecian oracle chambers where sound allegedly induced prophetic visions. If the pyramids were engineered to resonate at these healing frequencies, their purpose might transcend burial rites entirely. Skeptics dismiss these claims as placebo effects or pseudoscience, yet the patterns persist. Farmers in India using pyramid-shaped greenhouses report higher crop yields. Alternative medicine practitioners swear by pyramid energy to reduce inflammation. Even household experiments like milk lasting longer under a copper pyramid hint at unexplained phenomena. Whether the effects are psychological or physiological, one thing is clear: the pyramid's influence on life forces, real or perceived, continues to blur the line between myth and potential science. And that raises a tantalizing question. If these structures could subtly alter biology, what else might they have been designed to do? Beneath the polished surfaces and towering walls of the pyramids, modern technology is revealing secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew. In 2017, scientists using muon scanning, a technique that detects density changes in stone, discovered a massive void above the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid, stretching nearly 100 feet long. This hidden chamber, untouched for millennia, defies all traditional explanations. No hieroglyphs mark its walls, no artifacts clutter its floor. It's simply empty. Or is it? The precision of its construction suggests deliberate design, not some accidental gap. Could this space have held something: perishable scrolls, organic materials, even ceremonial objects that vanished over time? or was its purpose always intangible, like amplifying sound or focusing energy? Then there's the mystery of the Big Void, another enigmatic space detected near the pyramid's north face. Unlike the orderly chambers elsewhere, this area shows irregular edges, almost as if builders left it unfinished or accessed it differently. Some researchers speculate these voids could be construction gaps, but why would the Egyptians, masters of precision, leave such flaws in their crowning achievement? Others propose they're part of a larger system, like resonance chambers or even counterweights for massive internal doors yet to be found. The truth remains locked in stone, but the questions pile up. Artifacts add another layer of intrigue. Deep inside the labyrinth of Dasher's bent pyramid, archaeologists uncovered a collection of strange metal rods, their surfaces etched with symbols matching no known Egyptian script. Nearby, a set of quartz spheres, perfectly polished, showed no signs of wear. Were they ritual objects, tools, or something else entirely? Even more puzzling are the so-called ghost inscriptions in certain chambers, faint carvings that appear only under specific light angles, depicting constellations not visible from Giza's latitude. How did the builders know these stars? Perhaps the most baffling anomaly lies in the subterranean chamber of the Great Pyramid, where a narrow shaft descends into bedrock, then abruptly ends in a smooth, polished disk of black stone. No tool marks mar its surface, no records explain its purpose. When tapped, it emits a low, resonant hum, as if vibrating in sync with something deep below. Is it a seal, a symbolic well, or evidence of technology we've yet to comprehend? With each scan, each excavation, the pyramids offer more questions than answers. Hidden passages, magnetic anomalies, artifacts that defy categorization, they whisper of a story far richer than tomb builders or treasure hoards. So when we ask what else lies hidden beneath the stone, we're not just wondering about chambers or relics. We're asking whether the pyramid's greatest secret isn't what they contain, but what they're still concealing. The pyramid's silhouette is unmistakable, whether carved into ancient temple walls or gleaming under the Parisian sky as the Louvre's glass centerpiece. This shape, perfected millennia ago, still dominates our modern imagination, bridging the sacred and the scientific. Walk into any corporate lobby or spiritual retreat, and you'll find pyramids adorning logos, meditation spaces, even energy healing grids. Their form persists not as relic but as resonance. Take the Louvre's pyramid, designed by I.M. Pei in the 1980s. At first glance, it's a stark contrast to Giza's weathered stones, sleek, transparent, bathed in artificial light. Yet it shares the same fundamental geometry, the same interplay of shadow and symmetry. Visitors describe an uncanny feeling standing beneath it, as if the structure channels something timeless. The architects knew this power, deliberately echoing a shape that whispers of eternity. Modern skyscrapers borrow the pyramid's stability, tapering skyward to withstand wind and weight. But the fascination runs deeper than engineering. Silicon Valley startups embed pyramid icons in their branding, hinting at peak performance and ascension. Wellness influencers tout copper pyramid frames to harmonize energy in homes. Even video games and blockbuster films use pyramids as shorthand for mystery and power. Think of the ominous structures in Destiny or Stargate. The shape has become a universal language, transcending cultures and centuries. Why does this ancient design still hold sway? Psychologists point to its simplicity and symmetry qualities our brains instinctively find pleasing. Spiritual traditions suggest the pyramid's apex focuses intention, acting as a conduit between earthly and divine. Architects marvel at how its form distributes stress, making it both monument and marvel of physics. But perhaps the real answer lies in duality. The pyramid is both anchor and arrow rooted in the earth while pointing beyond it. In a world hungry for meaning, that balance feels irresistible. We build them now not to house the dead, but to inspire the living, and in that act we echo the ancients more than we realize. The sheer scale of the pyramids doesn't just impress, it humbles. Imagine 2.5 million stone blocks, each weighing as much as an elephant, hauled across miles of desert without wheels or pulleys, then stacked with gaps between them thinner than a credit card. This wasn't just construction, it was obsession. The workforce likely numbered in the tens of thousands, not slaves as Hollywood depicts, but skilled laborers who camped in purpose-built cities near the construction sites. Archaeologists have uncovered bakeries capable of feeding thousands, medical facilities treating broken bones, even evidence of beer rations, proof these workers were valued, not exploited. Their tools, mostly copper chisels and stone hammers, materials softer than the granite they shaped, meaning they must have sharpened and replaced them constantly, turning construction into a relentless act of devotion. The logistics alone boggle modern minds. Quarries upstream along the Nile provided limestone, floated down river on barges during flood season. Granite came from over 500 miles south, transported along makeshift canals. Each block's placement required precise calculations. No mortar held them together, just perfect geometry and the crushing weight of the stones themselves. Some theories suggest workers used sledges on wet sand to reduce friction, while ramps spiraling around the pyramid's exterior or zigzagging up its sides provided temporary pathways. But here's the catch: even with these methods, the math doesn't quite add up. To build the Great Pyramid in 23 years, Khufu's estimated reign, workers would have had to set one block every 2.5 minutes, day and night without error. That timeline strains credibility, hinting at techniques we've yet to rediscover. Debates rage over how such precision was possible. Some argue for lost technologies, lever systems, counterweights, even sonic levitation hinted at in temple texts describing stones moved by the voice of the gods. Others point to the Egyptians' mastery of astronomy. Aligning the pyramids to true north may have involved tracking stars over decades, turning construction into a celestial clockwork. The most compelling evidence lies in the workers' own records. Diaries found at Wadi al-Jawf describe teams competing to move stones faster, proud of their progress. This wasn't just forced labor, it was a national project, a society's collective heartbeat poured into stone. So what drove them? Not just a pharaoh's ego, but something deeper. Pyramid building coincided with the Nile's annual floods, when fields were underwater and labor was abundant. The project may have unified the kingdom, given purpose during idle months, and cemented the pharaoh's role as the people's bridge to the gods. The pyramids weren't just tombs, they were declarations. Proof that order could triumph over chaos, that humans could touch the sky. And in that audacity, they whisper across ages. This is what happens when a civilization dares to dream in stone. The mainstream story of the pyramids credits the ancient Egyptians with their construction, but a growing chorus of researchers argues the timeline doesn't add up, and the evidence they point to is hard to ignore. Take the erosion patterns on the Sphinx, the pyramid's silent guardian. Geologists note that its weathered flanks and deep vertical fissures resemble damage caused by millennia of heavy rainfall, something Egypt hasn't experienced since at least 5000 BC, thousands of years before conventional dating places the Sphinx's creation. Could this mean the structure, and perhaps the pyramids nearby, are far older than we've been told? The idea isn't fringe. Even mainstream scholars like Boston University's Robert Schoch acknowledge the water erosion anomaly, though they debate its implications. Then there's the astronomical data. The three pyramids of Giza mirror Orion's belt as it appeared in 10,500 BCE, an alignment so precise it's unlikely to be accidental. But according to traditional chronology, Egyptian civilization didn't even exist then. This discrepancy fuels theories that the pyramids might be relics of a lost pre-pharaonic culture, one with advanced knowledge of the stars. Ancient texts add fuel to the fire. The inventory stela discovered at Giza in the 19th century claims the Great Pyramid already stood when Khufu came to power, suggesting he merely restored it, not built it. While Egyptologists dismiss the stela as later propaganda, its existence hints at alternative histories whispering beneath the sand. The most radical theories propose builders from outside Egypt entirely. The similarities between Giza's pyramids and those in Mesoamerica or Mesopotamia are striking not just in shape, but in celestial alignments and construction techniques. Could a global civilization, now forgotten, have seeded these monuments worldwide? The work of researchers like Graham Hancock explores this possibility, pointing to submerged ruins like Yonaguni off Japan's coast or the underwater structures near Cuba as evidence of a sophisticated pre-Ice Age culture. Mainstream archaeology pushes back, but the questions linger. Why do so many ancient sites share uncanny geometric and astronomical precision if their builders never met? Then there's the craftsmanship. The precision of the pyramid stonework, joints so tight you can't slip a razor blade between them, rivals modern machining. Some blocks show drill marks with spiraling grooves that suggest tools spinning at speeds impossible with manual labor. The granite sarcophagus in the king's chamber has corners sharper than what our best diamond-tipped saws can achieve today. These anomalies lead some to speculate about lost technologies or even outside intervention. Ancient astronaut theorists like Erich von Däniken suggest extraterrestrial knowledge could explain these leaps in engineering, though most scholars dismiss this as sensationalism. But perhaps the most compelling argument for alternative builders isn't about aliens or Atlantis, it's about human ingenuity we've underestimated. Indigenous traditions worldwide speak of gods or sky people who taught advanced skills. Could these have been surviving members of an earlier, advanced civilization? The Dogon tribe of Mali, for instance, knew of Sirius's invisible companion star centuries before telescopes, while Hindu texts describe flying machines and energy weapons. These threads weave a tantalizing possibility that the pyramids aren't just Egyptian but inheritances from a much older world, one that mastered sciences we're still relearning. The debate isn't just academic, it's about rewriting history. If the pyramids are far older or the work of a forgotten culture, then humanity's story is richer, stranger, and more interconnected than we've dared to imagine. Every chisel mark, every aligned shaft, every water-worn stone whispers a challenge. Look again. The truth might not just change our past, it could reshape our future. Rising from the desert like frozen giants, the pyramids weren't just tombs or temples, they were the ultimate flex of pharaonic power. Think about it. In a world without skyscrapers or satellites, these structures dominated the horizon, visible for miles in every direction. Their sheer scale screamed a message to every farmer, merchant, and rival kingdom. This ruler commands the earth itself. The labor required thousands of workers, decades of toil, entire cities mobilized wasn't just about honoring the dead. It was about demonstrating control. By commissioning such impossible monuments, pharaohs like Khufu and Djoser weren't just preparing for the afterlife. They were proving their divine right to rule in this one. Look closer at the logistics, and the political genius becomes clear. Pyramid construction peaked during eras of strong central authority, when the Nile's floods were predictable and harvests abundant. These weren't projects for lean times. They required surplus grain to feed workers, organized bureaucracies to manage supplies, and absolute obedience to divert so much manpower from farming. The pyramids then became barometers of stability. When you see one rising, you know the state is strong, the gods are pleased, and dissent isn't tolerated. The stones themselves enforced hierarchy. Artisans lived in tidy villages with bakeries and hospitals, while overseers enjoyed finer quarters, a microcosm of the society the pyramid upheld. But here's the twist: these monuments also served as ancient propaganda. The pyramid's perfect geometry mirrored the cosmic order pharaohs claimed to uphold. By aligning with the stars and weathering centuries untouched, they embodied the ruler's promise of eternal stability. Peasants toiling in the fields might never read hieroglyphs, but they couldn't miss the message looming overhead: resist the pharaoh, and you defy the universe itself. Even the workforce was part of the theater. Contrary to old myths of slave labor, evidence shows workers were paid in bread, beer, and social prestige. Participation in the pyramid became a civic duty, a way to earn honor while reinforcing the system. Yet power always has its flip side. Some scholars argue that pyramid building sowed the seeds of its own decline. The cost in resources and lives strained economies, possibly contributing to the collapse of the Old Kingdom. Were these monuments less about spiritual vision and more about desperate bids to legitimize faltering rule? The unfinished pyramid of Pharaoh Djedefre, abandoned mid-construction, hints at the risks of overreach. Even stone can't mask the cracks in a regime. So when we marvel at the pyramid's grandeur, we're witnessing more than architectural genius. We're seeing the blueprint of control, how stone and sky were weaponized to shape minds, consolidate power, and etch a ruler's name not just into history, but into the very bones of the earth. The question isn't whether they were spiritual, it's whether spirituality was just another tool in the pharaoh's kit. Look up at the night sky from the Giza plateau, and you'll notice something uncanny. The pyramids don't just dominate the earth beneath them. They mirror the heavens above with eerie precision. This celestial connection has fueled theories stretching far beyond conventional archaeology, suggesting these ancient structures might be more than human hands alone could achieve. Ancient texts from cultures worldwide speak of gods or star beings descending to share wisdom, and the pyramid's alignment with Orion's belt, Sirius, and even the galactic center raises a tantalizing possibility. Were these monuments designed as landing beacons, cosmic maps, or even gifts from beyond our world? The Egyptian pyramid texts, carved into burial chambers over 4,000 years ago, describe pharaohs ascending to the stars aboard celestial boats, joining the gods in constellations. But what if these weren't just metaphors? The Dogon people of Mali, untouched by modern astronomy until the 20th century, knew of Sirius's invisible companion star, a fact only confirmed by telescopes in the 1860s. Their legends claim this knowledge came from amphibious beings from the Sirius system, who visited Earth in ancient times. Similarly, Sumerian tablets depict the Anunnaki, god-like figures who descended from the heavens to teach humanity architecture, agriculture, and law. Could these stories be fragmented memories of extraterrestrial contact, with the pyramids as physical proof? Then there's the mystery of the pyramid's missing capstone. Ancient accounts describe it as electrum, a shimmering alloy of gold and silver catching the first and last light of day. Some theorists propose it functioned as a conductor, channeling energy or even signaling to the stars. The pyramid's shafts, aligned with key celestial bodies, further blur the line between tomb and transmitter. Modern experiments show these narrow passages amplify specific radio frequencies, leading to speculation they could have been part of an ancient communication system. Far-fetched, maybe, but when you consider that the pyramid's latitude encodes the speed of light down to the decimal, coincidence starts feeling like a flimsy explanation. Even the construction defies easy answers. The precision of the granite sarcophagi, cut with tolerances rivaling modern machining, suggests tools or techniques we've yet to rediscover. Ancient astronaut theorists point to the Baghdad battery, a 2,000-year-old clay jar capable of generating electricity, or the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computer tracking planetary movements, as evidence of lost technologies. Could advanced knowledge have been gifted or left behind by visitors from the stars? Skeptics argue these ideas dismiss human ingenuity, reducing ancient achievements to alien intervention. Yet the patterns persist, from the Nazca lines visible only from the air to the sudden leap in Egyptian engineering during the Pyramid Age. Anomalies pile up. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, not aliens building the pyramids for us, but ancient humans encountering something that expanded their understanding of the universe, then etching that revelation in stone. The pyramids stand as silent witnesses, their stones whispering a question we're still grappling with. If the stars guided their builders, what else might they have known that we've forgotten? Standing before the pyramids, even the most skeptical mind feels it, that primal tug of awe, the spine-tingling sense of standing in the presence of something beyond human scale. This isn't just admiration for ancient engineering. It's a psychological phenomenon as old as our species. The pyramids trigger what psychologists call the sublime, a mix of terror and wonder reserved for things so vast or mysterious they defy comprehension. Studies show that encountering colossal structures activates the same brain regions linked to spiritual experiences, as if our neural wiring recognizes these monuments as portals between the mundane and the divine. Art and literature have fed on this magnetism for centuries, from romantic painters like David Roberts, who framed the pyramids as lonely giants against endless dunes, to Hollywood blockbusters that cast them as repositories of alien tech or cursed treasure. Their silhouette has become shorthand for the unknown. Even video games like Assassin's Creed and Uncharted use pyramid labyrinths as stages for adventure, tapping into our collective itch to uncover secrets. But why this particular shape? Unlike skyscrapers or domes, pyramids seem to whisper of hidden knowledge, their geometry implying layers waiting to be peeled back. Conspiracy theories thrive in this fertile ground. The human brain is wired for patternicity, the tendency to find meaningful connections even in randomness. When we see the pyramid's precise alignments or mathematical coincidences, it's irresistible to imagine intentional design. Some theories spiral into wild territories, secret chambers holding Atlantean technology, blueprints left by time travelers, even prophecies encoded in stone. While most lack evidence, their persistence reveals something profound. We'd rather believe in hidden order than accept that such majesty could be random. Perhaps the deepest mystery isn't in the stones, but in us. The pyramids mirror our own yearning for meaning, for legacy, for connection to something eternal. They stand as Rorschach tests in limestone. Mathematicians see equations, mystics see energy grids, historians see power plays. Their true power may lie in this very ambiguity, reflecting back whatever we're desperate to find. So when you feel that ache of wonder staring up at their slopes, remember, you're not just looking at a tomb or a temple, you're glimpsing the shape of your own hunger for the infinite. Cutting-edge technology is peeling back layers of the pyramid's secrets without so much as touching a single stone. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project made headlines when muon tomography, a technique using cosmic ray particles to scan solid structures, revealed a hidden void above the Grand Gallery, large enough to fit a commercial airliner. These ghostly particles, raining down from space, pass through empty spaces more easily than dense stone, allowing scientists to map voids like an X-ray for archaeology. The discovery sent shockwaves through Egyptology, proving even after centuries of study, the pyramids still guard surprises, but muon imaging is just the start. Teams from Japan, France, and Egypt have deployed infrared thermography to study temperature variations across the pyramid's surface. During sunrise, certain limestone blocks heat up or cool down at different rates, hinting at hidden chambers or construction anomalies invisible to the naked eye. Then there's LiDAR light detection and ranging, which has transformed how we see not just the pyramids, but their entire landscape. By bouncing lasers off the ground from aircraft, researchers have uncovered lost causeways, buried settlements, and even a sprawling underground network beneath the Giza Plateau. One scan revealed the outline of a long-vanished ramp system, possibly used to transport massive stones from the Nile to the construction site. These tools do more than confirm old theories, they rewrite them. For example, thermal scans of the bent pyramid at Dasha showed internal heat patterns suggesting its builders changed techniques mid-construction, possibly after structural stress became apparent. Suddenly, we're not just studying finished monuments, but witnessing the ancient builders' problem-solving in real time, millennia later. International collaborations are pushing boundaries further. The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities now partners with universities from Tokyo to Toronto, combining robotics, 3D modeling, and AI to analyze data. In 2021, a miniature robotic camera snaked through a narrow shaft in the Great Pyramid, capturing high-resolution images of hieroglyphs untouched for 4,500 years. Meanwhile, machine learning algorithms sift through centuries of excavation records, spotting patterns humans might miss, like the recurring alignment of pyramid complexes with specific star clusters across different dynasties. The big question isn't just what we'll find next, but how these discoveries reshape our understanding. Will the next scan reveal a chamber filled with scrolls, as some predict? Or something no one's even imagined: ancient tools, resonant chambers tuned to forgotten frequencies, or even evidence of repair work by later civilizations? The beauty of this high-tech hunt is its humility. Each breakthrough comes with a reminder: the pyramids were built by people who knew their craft in ways we're still deciphering. And as the tools improve, one truth becomes clearer: these stones still have stories to tell, if we're patient enough to listen. We often look at the pyramids through the lens of our modern world, assuming the ancients thought and built the way we do today. But this is where history gets slippery. Our 21st century biases can distort the past like funhouse mirrors. Take the term tomb, for example. To us, a tomb is a final resting place, a sealed chamber for the dead. But to the ancient Egyptians, burial sites were active portals, places where the spiritual and physical worlds blurred. The pyramids weren't just boxes for bodies, they were machines for resurrection, their corridors designed to guide the pharaoh's soul through cosmic trials. When we reduce them to mere graves, we strip away layers of meaning their builders embedded in every stone. This distortion isn't limited to archaeology. Pop culture paints the pyramids as repositories of treasure or traps for unwary adventurers, thanks to Hollywood's love of cursed mummies and booby-trapped gold. These tropes say more about our fascination with wealth and danger than they do about ancient beliefs. The real treasure in the pyramids wasn't gold, it was knowledge. The hieroglyphs lining the walls weren't warnings, they were instruction manuals for the afterlife, spells to navigate the Duat's treacherous currents. By framing these structures through the lens of modern greed or superstition, we risk missing their true purpose entirely. Even the way we study pyramids reveals our biases. Western explorers of the 19th century often dismissed Egyptian achievements as primitive or mystical, refusing to acknowledge the sophisticated math and engineering behind them. Meanwhile, alternative theorists swing to the opposite extreme, crediting aliens or lost super civilizations instead of recognizing the ingenuity of the people who actually lived there. Both views rob the ancient Egyptians of their legacy, one by underestimating them, the other by erasing them. Context is everything. The pyramids didn't rise in a vacuum. They were products of a society that saw no divide between science and spirituality, where astronomy and religion were two sides of the same papyrus scroll. The alignment with Orion's belt wasn't just stargazing, it was theology in stone. The precision of their angles wasn't just engineering, it was a prayer in geometry. To understand them, we need to step outside our compartmentalized world and into one where every measurement, every shaft, every symbol vibrated with layered meaning. So here's the real question: are we even asking the right things when we study these monuments? Instead of wondering how they were built, maybe we should ask why they were built this way. Instead of searching for hidden chambers, we might look for hidden logic, the kind that doesn't fit neatly into our modern categories. The pyramids challenge us to unlearn as much as we discover, to listen rather than assume. And that might be the hardest excavation of all, digging past our own preconceptions to meet the past on its own terms. The next decade promises to peel back even more layers of the pyramid's mysteries, with groundbreaking technologies poised to reveal what's been hidden for millennia. Imagine drones equipped with ground-penetrating radar skimming the Giza Plateau, mapping subterranean chambers too deep or delicate for traditional excavation. Teams from Cairo to Kyoto are already preparing for the next phase of the Scan Pyramids mission, deploying upgraded muon detectors 100 times more sensitive than previous models. These cosmic ray scanners could pinpoint voids as small as a single meter, potentially uncovering hidden corridors or ritual caches sealed since the age of the pharaohs. And it's not just about finding empty spaces. Advanced spectroscopy might detect trace elements left by organic materials long since decayed, like the ghostly residue of papyrus scrolls or ceremonial oils. Meanwhile, linguists are racing to crack the pyramid's most elusive code, the unread symbols in the so-called blind corridors, narrow passages where hieroglyphs appear only in ultraviolet light. A joint Harvard-Tübingen project is training AI to analyze these faint markings, comparing them to known texts across 30 centuries of Egyptian writing. Early tests suggest some glyphs could represent a lost cryptographic system, possibly encoding astronomical data or builders' blueprints. If deciphered, they might finally answer why certain chambers were sealed while others remain accessible. But the most tantalizing frontier lies beneath the bedrock. In 2025, engineers plan to lower fiber optic cameras into the Great Pyramid's submerged tunnels, areas flooded since antiquity. These snake-like probes, no thicker than a pencil, could navigate underwater passages without disturbing their structure, potentially revealing artifacts preserved in the anaerobic mud. Some researchers whisper of a wet library, chambers deliberately flooded to protect fragile records from looters and time. Even bolder is the proposed neutrino scan, a nuclear physics technique that could create a 3D model of the entire pyramid down to atomic density, exposing every tool, mark, repair, and hidden seam. The implications could rewrite history. A single undiscovered papyrus might detail construction techniques that defy modern engineering. A sealed chamber could hold intact examples of Heka, the ritual instruments priests used to animate statues and walls, objects that might reshape our understanding of ancient energy concepts. Or imagine finding a builder's ledger naming the architects, proving once and for all whether the pyramids predate Khufu. every new scan, every millimeter of progress carries the potential to topple long-held assumptions. What makes this era unique isn't just the technology, it's the collaboration. For the first time, Egyptologists, particle physicists, and computer scientists are pooling data in real time. Crowdsourced algorithms sift through millennia of excavation records, while blockchain systems track artifact provenance to prevent looting. The pyramids are becoming a global laboratory, their stones whispering secrets to researchers from disciplines their builders could never have imagined. The greatest breakthrough might not be a chamber or a scroll, but a paradigm shift. As we peer deeper into these ancient structures, we're forced to confront uncomfortable questions. Were the pyramids the peak of a forgotten science? Did their architects understand forces we're only now rediscovering? Each new discovery doesn't just add to history, it challenges us to rethink what ancient civilizations were truly capable of. And somewhere in the dust and data, the next revelation waits, patient as the Sphinx, for its moment to rewrite the story of human ingenuity. From royal tombs to celestial observatories, from energy amplifiers to repositories of lost knowledge, the pyramids of Egypt refuse to be confined to a single explanation. Each theory we've explored peels back another layer, revealing not just the genius of an ancient civilization, but the limits of our own understanding. The more we study these monuments, the more they unravel our assumptions, leaving us with more questions than answers. Were they burial chambers for pharaohs? Absolutely, but they were also star maps, mathematical equations, harmonic resonators, and perhaps even machines humming with forgotten science. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the interplay where spirituality meets engineering, where myth whispers through stone. What makes the pyramids truly extraordinary isn't just their precision or scale, it's their stubborn refusal to be categorized. They stand as a challenge across millennia, daring us to rethink what ancient cultures were capable of. Every alignment with Orion's belt, every hidden chamber revealed by muon scans, every acoustic anomaly in the king's chamber pushes us to reconsider the boundaries of history. Maybe the pyramids weren't meant to serve just one purpose, but many, each layer of meaning woven into their geometry like a secret language waiting to be decoded. And that's the heart of the mystery. These structures are mirrors reflecting back whatever questions we bring to them. To an archaeologist, they're tombs. To a physicist, they're energy experiments. To a mystic, they're gateways. Their greatest lesson might be humility, reminding us that the past is far stranger, far richer than our textbooks often allow. The pyramids don't just belong to Egypt, they belong to humanity's endless curiosity, to our collective itch to look beyond the obvious and ask, what if? As the writer Arthur C. Clarke once put it, the greatest mystery isn't whether we're alone in the universe, but what else the universe is hiding in plain sight. The pyramids embody that spirit. They're not relics to be solved, but invitations to keep searching, keep wondering, keep pushing at the edges of what we think we know. So what's your theory? Tomb, temple, machine, or something we haven't even imagined yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're hungry for more ancient enigmas, hit subscribe. The past isn't finished surprising us, not even